Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your boy Shaq Cook. Welcome back to another episode of Keepin Real with Shaquille, where we inquire to inspire. Guys, you are in for a treat tonight. As you can tell, it's my first time being dressed up because I have a very special guest in the building tonight. So before I get started, first and foremost, I have to say thank you to you guys for supporting us continuously. This show has been growing and great things have been happening. A lot of people have been getting reached and a lot of lives have been changing on a consistent basis. So thank you guys for your constant support. Second, make sure that you guys, as you tune in, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the show. The last 10 minutes of the show will be dedicated to you guys. So make sure as the show goes on that you post questions, because Derek and I, we will be referencing your questions and he will answer your questions. And last but not least, without a shadow of a doubt, make sure that you guys are still purchasing my merchandise. I still have the t-shirts, the There's Purpose in Your Pain. I still have a few left. So guys, make sure that you grab them before they get gone, because they will go fast and they've been moving fast over the past few weeks. So without a shadow of a doubt, I have to move forward. I'm very excited, guys, and I want to jump right into it. We have a very special guest in the house tonight, a very young, amazing man who is moving forward and doing some great things in the community. And he has something very special to talk about. So guys, without a shadow of a doubt, let's get into it. Welcome our special guest. Give a Keepin Real Shaquille special welcome to Mr. Derek Polley. Derek, how's it going?
Hey man, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and tell everybody about yourself and what you're doing.
Oh man, my name is Derek Polley. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I've been in Lynchburg for about 16 years. I'm currently running for Lynchburg City Council. I met my wife here. Her name is Nina. She grew up right off of Rivermont. Her mom grew up in 10 Bridge Hill. Her dad grew up in Daniels Hill. So we're definitely here representing, for the hills of Lynchburg. I have 3 children, all attend Lynchburg City Schools. I currently serve on Lynchburg City School Board. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee, oversee a $100 million budget, watch every dollar down to the T. So I started the Lynchburg Legends, a professional basketball team here in Lynchburg, but that's just a couple things that I've done. But I'm here to help Lynchburg move forward. We got some serious decisions on the table that we're going to get to in the show. But that's why I'm running. I want to make sure people understand what's on the table when we're talking about politics here in Lynchburg.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. Now, you said things that are on the table. So what necessarily is on the table right now?
I think one of the biggest things on the table is the education. I think if you're a parent, if you have kids in Lynchburg City Schools, if you have a niece, a nephew, grandchildren, whatever, you need to be paying attention to what's going on in Lynchburg City Schools. Right now, they have a proposed budget cut to the school system of $1.1 million. $1.1 million from Lynchburg City Schools. Now, we already have some of the lowest paid teachers in a 100-mile radius. We, in the state of Virginia, we rank 102 out of 132 school divisions on school pay. So there's no reason why we are not paying our teachers better for what they're doing. They're literally shaping and molding the future, our generation. So how are we not paying our teachers? We're talking about the people who are meeting our babies in the morning. The bus drivers are putting them on the bus. The cafeteria ladies making sure that they eat. The teachers are feeding their minds and their goals. And here we are not paying our teachers, not compensating our teachers. So that really stands out that we have 20-year veteran teachers that are making less in 2018 than they made in 2008. So it's important to realize that City Council is proposing a $1.1 million budget cut to Lynchburg City Schools. And what is that going to do for the quality of education for all the kids right here in Lynchburg City Schools? Like, what are we going to do about it?
Wow. And so now what would be your plan as far as the budget cut if you are elected City Council?
I support level funding. I support the idea that Lynchburg City Schools is supposed to give every dollar that they're supposed to the city of Lynchburg is supposed to give every dollar to Lynchburg City Schools. Right now, Lynchburg is supposed to give $43 million to Lynchburg City Schools to operate. They're saying that they need to cut that by $1.1 million. So I'm always a big supporter of education. I'm a product of public education. I believe in it. We have one of the highest poverty rates in the state. So now is not the time to be cutting education. Education is one of the only proven defenses to get yourself out of poverty. So if we have the highest poverty rate in the state, and poverty is a true concern right here in Lynchburg, why are we even considering cutting our education budget? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely, and I definitely agree with you on that topic. Education is very important, and I know that you have your degree, and I have my degree as well, and that's something that helped us to get to where we are today.
It definitely does.
And so now you're speaking a lot of truth, so a lot of us want to know what made you run for city council.
Well, I'll be honest. My introduction into local politics was I guess, divine intervention, but it wasn't in necessarily a positive way. My daughter, at the time, was in second grade, and she got into an altercation at school with another young man. She wasn't completely innocent, but they exchanged blows with each other or whatever. But for whatever reason, the young man went home and told his parents. The parents called up to the school the next day, very concerned about the safety of their child. They kind of got the superintendent involved, saying, we think that this child needs to be suspended 365 days. And so they called me into the office telling me that my second grade child, who's never had a referral, never had a detention, is the possibility of having a 365-day suspension. And they start throwing out certain words like policy. They were saying, there's nothing we can do. Even though I'm the principal, I have to follow the policy. So we have to suspend your child 365 days. And I didn't want to accept that. So what I wanted to make sure was that I was learning how to go through the process. My wife, growing up here, taught me the process, how to advocate, how to stand up for my daughter to make sure that this doesn't happen to her. So she sent me down to the superintendent's office, and I began standing up and advocating for my daughter. Now, during this time, it just happened to be the week of new school board appointments. So my wife was like, they have school board positions available. I think you should go and interview for an appointment. I said, I'm really not interested in doing that. Then she let me know that there were other children in Lynchburg who suffered that same fate, who parents are faced with a 365-day suspension, but they don't know how to advocate for themselves. They don't know how to talk to the right people to make sure that doesn't happen to their child. So once I looked at it from that perspective, that there were several people suffering just from the lack of knowledge, that's when I realized that there was some serious power information gaps in Lynchburg, where people that were in the know were in the know. If you knew how to advocate for your child, then you might not get a suspension. But if you don't know how to advocate for your child might be suspended. And so that's some of the same things I hope to do with the Lynchburg City Council. That was really my direct, I guess, realization of how important your local government is, because the policy is set by the Lynchburg City School Board, but the Lynchburg City Council appoints the Lynchburg City School Board. So that's how local government came and smacked me right in the face and said, you better start paying attention to what's going on in your community, because your children and a lot of other people around you are suffering from some of the decisions that are being made. So that's when I realized that understanding your local government, connecting with your local council, your local school board, and how to hold them accountable, because they're not perfect. So that's when I realized the importance of all that, how important it is to organize and advocate, especially in our community.
Yeah, and so and I think that a lot of parents want to advocate for their child, but don't necessarily know how to go about doing that. So how did you go about doing it in a professional manner that actually made some type of effect?
Well, you have to know the rules. It's hard to play the game if you don't know the rules. And being able to understand how the process worked, being able to understand what was policy and what wasn't policy, best practices, understanding the process, who to talk to, when to set up the meetings, where to go. All those things played a huge role in me being able to step up for and advocate for my daughter. So I just wanted to be a sponge, to take the information that I received and just take that back to the community. So this won't have to keep happening over and over and over, because there are people in the community where their child is a senior in school and getting suspended 365 days and then not able to graduate. So many ramifications with not knowing how to organize and advocate. So I was very, very happy to be able to take that information back to the community, because information is power. And so if we take that information, we're literally taking power to the community and showing people how to advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. And so now, obviously, like anybody who wants to do something, they have a vision.
Yeah.
What would be your vision as city council if you're elected?
My vision for Lynchburg, number one, was to have a education system that's fully funded. The Lynchburg City Schools is the lifeline of the community. So many things are determined on how well our school system is doing. So making sure that we're fully funding our schools, our kids are prepared for a great education, and our teachers are being compensated where they feel like that there is hope for them to continue in the profession without the risk of them having some type of economic shortfall because they're not getting compensated for what they need. Our teachers need to have confidence that they're going to be in a position when they're ready to retire to take care of themselves. And I think all those things are important. And another thing is economic development. I live right on Rivermont Avenue, and they have taken that food line about 5 or 6 years ago. So there are people in that community who sincerely need a grocery store. We don't have access to fresh produce. We don't have access to the pharmacy. We don't have access to things that we need that are vital in the neighborhood. So I think we need to start allocating resources just outside of downtown to make sure that people in food deserts have access to fresh produce and can get the things that they need on a daily basis. At the same time, though, we need to make sure that we're teaching our community how to advocate for themselves, because people in that community have some great ideas. They just might not just know how to organize and come together. So it's a responsibility for the city to make sure that we're empowering our community so that they can learn how to advocate for themselves, so they don't have to feel like waiting on city council to give them a grocery store. They can do it themselves.
Wow, and that's something that I noticed as well, that the food line there in Rivermont has been shut down for a while, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a vision for it.
Yeah.
But we realize that, and I noticed it myself, that hey, where's the fresh produce in Rivermont area?
Right.
The food line that everybody would go to is now gone. Now somebody may have to go to Old Forest Road or Wars Road just to go to a Walmart just to get fresh food for their home, and you have to get outside your comfort zone to do so.
And I think, because I'm blessed enough to have transportation to get where I need to go, but living in the Rivermont area, you can see the other effects of a food desert is, okay, let's say that they can walk to the store. Yeah. Now, how much groceries can you carry in your hands walking back from a store?
Absolutely.
I live right there off Bedford Avenue. You see people that have to turn to the 7-Eleven or the Exxon or the Citgo to get the basic things that they need. So to see a mother and her 2 kids walking on the side of Hollins Mill Road, where it's already dangerous on the decline, carrying bags, that's just not what I want to see in that neighborhood. I want to see that neighborhood thrive. I think that I know that neighborhood deserves a place where they can get fresh produce. And if it's not a food line, we need to be doing something that could possibly supplement or complement that area, because there's no reason why people in that area who do not have access to transportation can't get the things that they need to have, just the basic necessities of life.
Absolutely. And so May 1st is Election Day.
May 1st is Election Day. That's the day I need everybody to put, a lot of people out here are supporting me. I have a lot of energy in the city, and that's great. I appreciate all the love and support, but we need to translate that and channel that into actual votes. Yes. It's time for Lynchburg to become a little bit more politically mature. It's time for Lynchburg to become a little bit more politically conscious, where we're understanding what politics are supposed to deliver. We're understanding how to hold our politicians accountable. Yeah. Those are things that Lynchburg needs to see right now. Politics are designed to deliver specific results. You're already paying taxes. They're already taking your money and doing the things that they want to see done. So you're already involved. You're just not engaged. I think that the last election, only 11.9% of Lynchburg registered voters came out to vote for city council. That bothered me, because that means a very small group of people got to select who will be making some very crucial decisions for the city of Lynchburg. So it's important that we get out and follow through with some of the actions. When we talk about what we want to do, we follow through with that with a vote. Because as we know, generations of people came before us and sacrificed so many things for us to have the ability to vote. So when I see something like that we only had 11.9% of registered voters hit the polls for the city council election in 2016, that really bothers me. I want this to be one of the most attended city council races ever. I'm telling people, sometimes I really don't care who you vote for. I need you to vote, though. I need you to understand what's at stake, because you have the power to make some change right here. I'm not out here trying to tell everyone to vote for me. I need you to vote because it's important to vote. You have a responsibility to your community. You have the authority within you to stand up and do what you feel needs to be done by showing your support for a particular candidate. And make sure you're reading between the lines. Make sure you're not just letting someone show up at your doorstep and sell you a bunch of wolf tickets and tell you what they're going to do. Read these articles. Go to their website. Look at the things that they truly support and understand each candidate, because it's too much on the line in 2018 for us to be just believing billboards and signs and not truly understanding what the candidate stands for.
Yes, and something that's very big about politics that I think a lot of people get afraid of is trust.
Yeah.
And so trust is a huge factor, because we know that there are a lot of politics that preach and say exactly what we want to hear just to get a vote.
Yeah.
Now, how can those who are going out voting here in Lynchburg, including myself, know that what Derek Polley means is what he says and that we can trust his word?
Well, one thing that's different about me and my campaign is I'm talking about things that I'm already doing in the community. When I talk about financial literacy and economic empowerment, I'm already partnering with local nonprofits. I'm already partnering with local churches, and I'm already going in and helping people establish basic fundamentals of financial literacy. So these are things I'm already doing. I'm already serving on the school board, so I'm already advocating for level funding for public education. I have 3 children in Lynchburg City Schools. I know that's a very selfish reason, but I'm going to be vested here. I have my youngest is in the 1st grade, so I have a long way to go in Lynchburg City Schools. So I need Lynchburg City Schools to do well. So some of the things that I'm talking about on my platform, I'm already doing in the community. I'm not just talking about what I want to do or what I'm going to do. These are things that I'm already practicing. So that's one thing that's different about my campaign, is that you can actually see where I've been in different pockets in the community, serving on different boards, a part of different community initiatives. And that's what I believe in. That's my passion, is because I really believe, I know Lynchburg changed my life when I got here. Lynchburg is a beautiful city. And so that's why I'm so passionate about giving back to it. It literally changed my life.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, every election is an important election.
Yes.
But what makes this election, come May 1st, very significant and important for everybody to go out and vote?
I think that Lynchburg is at a turning point. I think we can look back in the future. We'll be able to look back at this time and say, hey, we either made the decision and we went in the right direction, or maybe we didn't do some of the things we needed to do and we went the wrong way. And I didn't want to be on the sideline complaining. I really feel like the poverty rate we have in Lynchburg, one of the highest in the state, if we don't make some specific actions right now, that this can actually get worse. It's 24.7% as a whole. It's 33% in the African American community. There are some pockets in Lynchburg. I think they talked about an area over by Darrington Elementary where the poverty rate for African Americans is over 50%. Wow. So there are some people that are doing bad, and then there's some people that are doing even worse. So we have to realize that if we don't make decisions to correct ourselves now, that we're going to be at a point of no return. And it's important that we use our votes. It's important that we use our influence to make sure that we're politically engaged and making sure that we're holding our politicians accountable for what they said they were going to do to get in office.
Absolutely. And guys, make sure that you're posting questions right now, because at the end of the show, we will have a Q&A session. So you talked about the importance of this election. Yep. And your father, and you realize that how important it is to support your children in the school system, but also support the school system and the teachers.
Yes, sir.
Why do you feel that we have teachers who are not getting paid their fair share?
Well, a lot of this can go back to the recession from the economy back in 2008. At that time, there were a lot of cuts that had to be made just because the country was doing so bad financially as a whole. But since then, the economy has bounced back, but we never went back to kind of readjust teacher salary. So there are teachers that are literally making less money in 2018 than they did in 2008. Right. And I don't know about you guys, but what job would you stay on where you looked at your pay stub from 10 years ago and now you're making less money today than you did then? I don't know many people that will stay in that profession. So we have to fund our public education system so we're able to continue to push Lynchburg forward, especially in the education arena, especially, and we lose money when we don't pay our teachers. Being one of the lowest paying school divisions, we're losing teachers to Amherst. We're losing teachers to Appomattox. We're losing teachers to Nelson. So we're spending money training these teachers, and as soon as they get the experience, they're leaving to go to the county for the higher paying job. So every other years we're having to restock our teachers because we're training them here, we're spending the money on them, but then they're going out to the county for the higher paying job. So There's so much that needs to be done within the school system. I can't fathom a $1.1 million cut. I just don't see where it's going to come from.
Absolutely. And so obviously, as Lynchburg, like any other city, there's always room for improvements. But what is something that you see that is at one of the highest levels that makes Lynchburg significant and will make teachers want to come here?
Lynchburg is a beautiful city. It's a wonderful community. I think Lynchburg has so much to offer. Right now, we've just hired a great superintendent. Her name is Dr. Edwards, and she started last Monday. She is a rock star in the superintendent world. She has a proven track record of getting goals accomplished where she comes from in New Jersey. She has closed achievement gaps. She has built better parent relationships with the community. She understands the poverty aspect. She grew up in different parts of New Jersey that weren't the most affluent. So she has a direct relation with some of the issues that are going on here in Lynchburg. So the leadership that we've put in place in Lynchburg City Schools with our superintendent is a great reason to come work for Lynchburg City. She also is inspiring people already. I had a discipline committee meeting today. There are several department heads that are so fired up and welcoming Dr. Edwards and what she's going to do here in Lynchburg. So, like I said, it's a very crucial time, but now we have a new superintendent who has a wonderful track record. Are we going to give her the resources that she needs to be able to continue the success that she's had in other cities? And that means, are we going to give her level funding so she's out here to actually support the initiative that she has and the program that she has that she wants to make Lynchburg, that she wants to keep pushing the city schools forward. So if nothing else, the superintendent would be a great reason to move to Lynchburg City Schools.
Also, so before we move into questions from the audience, I want to know, how can people, in addition to May 1st going out and voting, Derek Polley, how can they support you right now?
Right now, moving into the last few weeks of the campaign, donations for the campaign, we have to get a lot of marketing material. We have to get a lot of literature, and just being able to get the ad space, radio ads, different things that we're doing. Those things takes funds. So, and we actually want to be able to transport some of our people on voting day. Some people have transportation issues, and so those are hurdles to getting people to the poll. So we want to make sure we have funds in place to make sure that we can actually physically get people from their house to the polls on May 1st. So those are some of the things. Also, we need volunteers to help knock doors. We're canvassing. We're trying to get on every street in Lynchburg to get the word out, tell people about the campaign. So, and then if you can't do either of those two, we have phone banking where you can make phone calls to get people on board to help vote. And we also are looking at the social media. If nothing else, you can share. You can go on my page. You can look up Polley for Council. You can look up Derek Polley for City Council. Like my page, share my page, get to know my platform, see what I'm standing on, see what I'm talking about. And that way, you never know who will see your share. If everybody will go and share with a couple friends, you never know what that means. So I need everybody to go check out the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Derek Polley 8 on Instagram, Polley for Council on Facebook. Like it and share it. Those are all ways that we can that guys can help be a part with the campaign.
Absolutely. So now we're going to jump into you guys' questions, which means a lot. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that right now. And so the first question, here we go. Thank you. So let's see here. I'm going to jump into it. Now let's see. All right, so the first question comes from Byron J. Elliott. What is your plan to build relationships with other candidates, politicians, community leaders who are already in place, as well as those that may win seats on May 1st? And then he says, particularly those who may have different views and approaches than yours.
Well, right now, it's not really about any type of party affiliation. It's not about any of those things. It's about what's moving Lynchburg City forward and the best for the majority of people here in Lynchburg. One thing I learned by serving on City Council is that we had 9 people on City Council, and all of us did not agree. So I had to learn how to reach across the aisle, to think outside the box, and to try to reach some type of mutual agreement where everybody feels like that there's a win involved, But at the end of the day, we're still doing the best thing. We were still doing the best things for Lynchburg City School students. I want to carry that same mentality to Lynchburg City Council. There are people that I do not agree with on certain stances, and then on other things we do agree with. So it's about finding a balance, understanding that we all need to work together and being on the same team. We're not working against each other, even if we don't have the same ideology. So I look forward to working with people who don't think the same way as I do, because I know that's going to create growth. I know that's true diversity when you have people in the room who don't think the same. So I'm looking forward to that. That's no problem for me.
Absolutely. So let's go on to the second question, and it comes again from Mr. Byron J. Elliott. How will you connect the local community to the jobs that might become available as a result of downtown development, as well as other development projects around town?
Well, I think once again, like when I talked about the school system and the school board and different things, there are people that are in certain circles, and so I think we have to start breaking up some of those. Well, not necessarily breaking up some of those circles, but either starting new circles or making sure we are being inclusive with those circles. There's information in Lynchburg about the projects that are coming up. There's information in Lynchburg about the jobs that are out here. It's about connecting people, finding the communication barriers. I have an interesting perspective. I'm around decision makers, so I see people that are saying, hey, we're creating so many opportunities, but people aren't taking advantage of them. And then I'm in different pockets of town where people are saying, hey, there are just no opportunities here in Lynchburg. So it's about finding a way to mesh those two together to get the people that are creating opportunities connected to the people who need them, and making sure that people understand what's available to them. Because we can talk all day about the things that we don't have, but it's about exposing and enhancing the projects that we do have, getting people connected and building true relationships. It's too many segments in Lynchburg. It's too much division. It doesn't matter if you're talking about schools, you're talking about politics, or if you're talking about AAU basketball. I'm finding so many different pockets where people have beef, people are not communicating, people aren't talking to each other, and they're reinventing the wheel. There's so many projects and programs that are redundant because people aren't willing to communicate and come together. So it's time to take the pride out. It's time to get people who are trying to take credit for things out of the way, and just make sure that people are collaborating and working together so we can build that synergy and energy. Because there's some great things going on in Lynchburg. It's just some of the things are redundant and are providing the same service. So it's time to break those walls down and getting people back to relationships, because that's what's important.
Yes, absolutely, relationships. And a lot of pastors I know recently have been talking about covenant relationships and the importance of finding a balance and finding a compromise to make the dream work. It takes teamwork to make the dream work.
Yes, sir.
And so we may not always agree or have the same ideology, but I believe that we can all find common ground to benefit Lynchburg and, quite frankly, the world as a whole.
Yeah.
And so the next question comes from our executive producer of the show, Ms. Shana Banks. She says this. She says, speaking of poverty, what is your plan to change that high percentage of poverty? How will you get the community involved in this change?
Well, I think we have to start with the community. I think we can't be blind enough to think that we have all the answers ourselves. There are some great things already going on in the community. I know that a friend of mine, Thais Blanding over on 5th Street, the owner of Nubian City, she's a cornerstone of that community. She's right there on 5th Street, and she owns a hair salon, but she also brings in other types of information. You can register to vote in there. You can get information on different things that are going on in the city. And so I call those things communiversities, where you have a venue in a city that's a leader that's a part of that community already. And she is not only using her building as a business, but she's putting information for the community inside of her business. And that's the university part, where people know that they can come get registered to vote at Thais' shop. People know that if they want to know something about financial literacy, what if I was to connect with Thais and to make sure that people could access that there? And that way we're not telling people, hey, come to this workshop and learn about financial literacy. Now we're taking the financial literacy to the community. So we're eliminating that transportation barrier. People already trust Thais. People already have built that relationship with Thais, so they won't have to feel like, oh, is somebody up to something? Do they expect something? Are they going to look for something on the back end? But that's a situation where people are going to be able to have the information in the community, so we can have those financial literacy pieces there for people currently, but now the generation coming behind can also benefit from that. I never learned about financial literacy. That was something I had to learn about later on in life. So now if we can start getting those basic fundamental financial literacy pieces to the community, not where people have to go to a meeting. The meeting is coming to the people. And I think that's the difference in the approach, is really bringing things to the community and leaving it inside of the community. So now there's always a resource there, and partnering with them to understand what they need. But financial literacy in the community is what we need.
Absolutely. So, guys, before I end, I have a question for myself. Mm-hmm. So what can we expect from Derek Polley on day one if elected city council?
On day one, know that you're going to have a representative that is not okay with the status quo. Know that I'm interested in changing the mindset that we have here in Lynchburg. Lynchburg is a great city, has some great opportunities in front of it, but if you look at the roster of the people who served on city council, if you look over the past 200 years, you'll see some names that show up over and over and over. So there's some family and some heritage here in Lynchburg who have been in this circle of power over the past 200 years. And if we want to change that, we have to start showing up and using our political muscle and understanding that if we want to get in on those conversations, we have to start having representation there. And I'm looking forward to helping up, not only just for me to get to city council, but showing the way for other people to get to city council, opening the door so people understand the process. I'm 34 years old, and this is the first campaign I've ever been a part of. I'm so excited about the young people like yourself who have interested in my campaign, who want to know more about it, because we have to start training more of our own if we want to start making an impact in the political realm. So that's important to me, to be very transparent with this campaign, so people can get interested in the political side of things, and we understand the avenues and how we can make change in our community. So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to, man.
Well, Derek, thank you so much. But before we end, I have a special gift for you.
Oh,
we always have to hook our guests up. So we got a gift for you right here.
What we got?
This is my first. Go ahead and.
Oh man.
So we hooked you up. We framed. We went ahead and framed that for you.
Look at me. I'm big time now. I'm big. I got it now, man. I'm gonna put this on my wall, man. I really appreciate it, because you have a voice, you have a platform, and you could be talking about a million things tonight, but you decided to talk about something that was important to the community. So, man, big props to you and your executive producer. You guys are doing big things. Looking forward to keeping up with your show. And like I said, my main goal is to make it to city council. But whether or not I make it there or not, you're still going to see my goals and my initiatives moving forward in the city. You'll still see me connected with young people like yourself, inspiring, creating that pipeline of success that we're looking for here in Lynchburg. Oh, let's see what. Oh man,
I got to deal with some candy.
Oh man, I got some candy in there too, man. I had to stop talking for a second, man. Most places I'm going, I'm passing out stuff, man. I appreciate this though, man. This is definitely a joy to be here, to see the energy and the passion you guys have. Hey, this is what it's about: connecting with people in the community and building relationships.
Absolutely, and guys, make sure that you go out, you vote May 1st. You've heard from a great young man who not only is speaking from the heart, but actually has a heart for what he is speaking about. And you're not just hearing from somebody who just woke up one day and decided, hey, I'm going to do this. You're hearing from someone who really wants to make a change and who do any and everything necessary to make that change happen. And that is someone who you will want for city council. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but make sure that May 1st that you vote. Like Derek said, study the candidates. Look and see what they are trying to do, the vision that they have for this community. The decisions that are made on a daily basis affect my life, Derek's life, your life. It affects our life as a whole. So make sure that May 1st that you go out and you be an advocate and you go out and use your voice by voting. So May 1st, go vote. Make sure that you guys thank Derek whenever you see him. Thank him for being on this show. This is the first time that we've had somebody who's running for city council on this show. And I tell you guys, I've been excited for this. I know that you guys aren't used to it. We typically do Thursdays, but with what he's doing, he's very busy, and so we had to make we had to make the time somehow to get this thing rolling. So guys, thank you so much. And before we end the show, Derek, if you had one thing to say to inspire the crowd, our motto is inquire to inspire. So if you had one thing to say to inspire the crowd, what would it be?
Well, I know voting is important, so having everybody getting out to vote. But if you're registered to vote and you're gonna vote, I challenge you to take three people. Take three people that may not necessarily be inclined to vote for the local city council election. I'm challenging everybody to take three people to the polls. I want this to be the most represented vote in city council for Lynchburg history. So I'm challenging everyone, raise the awareness, get someone involved. And like I said, it's not about voting for me. It's about voting and understanding what's at stake, becoming politically mature, politically conscious, and understanding what politics are supposed to produce, and understanding what politicians are, how to hold them accountable. They come into our neighborhoods, they want our votes and they want our money, but what are they doing for us after they get to city council? So thank you guys for having me on the show. Please like my page on social media, Derek Polley 8 on Instagram, Polley for Council on Facebook. Share it, like it. Those are all things we can do that don't take much time or energy. So, man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
guys,
sir.
So make sure that you go support Derek Polley. He is doing great things and has a great vision. And this is somebody who I believe firmly that you will want to have as city council. So guys, whenever you see him, make sure that you give him some support. Make sure that you go on Instagram and on your Facebook. And so make sure, if you're not registered to vote, make sure that you go out and vote. I'm a huge advocate for voting, and I always say that you cannot complain about anything if you do not use your voice and go out and vote, because we have the power in our hands and our minds and our hearts and spirits to make a change, but we have to hit those polls in order to make that difference. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As I mentioned 80 times before, whenever you see Derek, show him some love. Show him some love for stopping by and supporting this show. And we support his vision as well. So guys, stay tuned for more Keeping Real with Shaquille. Thank you so much for tuning in. We inquire to inspire, and we'll see you next time. Have a blessed one.
Peace out.